What's up, Rosterbaiters? I am back in my house, in my man cave. If I look different, though, that's because I'm shooting today in 4K. That's right, I got my wife's video equipment and decided to utilize it for once instead of shooting from my iPod. Now that I think about it, this is probably going to take forever to upload. Oh well. I'm also preparing for probably a little bit longer than usual video because I have a lot of stuff to go through. I'm not going to be going through week 12 specifically, but I am going to be doing a week 13 preview because week 13 is going to be immensely important. I have my beers lined up just in case, so I don't have to have any stoppages, even though with all this fancy equipment, I'm sure it has extra editing functionalities. But first of all, I'm not wearing my Leighton Vander Esch jersey like I usually like to wear for a couple reasons. First of all, I don't want Leighton to have such a good day that he sacks Taysom Hill on Thursday because I am starting Taysom Hill. I think that's the right answer. I'm just going to sit Derek Carr. But the biggest reason is who am I wearing? I'm wearing big number 19. Come on, Amari. I know you got the Rona, man. I know you got it. But suck it up. I need you to play on Thursday, my man. Big game, huge game, not only for me, but for the whole league. And I'm going to get into why that is soon. Okay, week 12. Like I said, not a whole lot happened except everybody who needed to win to create the most 6-6 teams basically did. Week 12 created 5 6-6 teams, all of which have a chance to make the playoffs. I lost to Big Fresh, effectively making me half of his wins this season. I've lost twice to him. Teams PGB and Beantown Ace took care of business and separated themselves from the pack in securing their 1 or 2 seeds. The playoff scenario it seems simple enough, but actually it's pretty complicated. But in the end, we have 2 teams that have clinched, 2 teams that are eliminated, and the remaining 6 teams will fight for the other 4 spots, and it's going to come down to points. Almost guaranteed. Here is what each team needs to do. I'm going to go into this assuming no one's going to tie. Okay, there's a couple assumptions that I'm going to do, but the first one is assuming no one ties. Beantown Ace, you secure the 1 seed with a win or a loss, and you score within 64.1 points of PGB could if he wins. PGB could. You are the 2 seed. Unless you win and Beantown Ace loses and you score 64.1 points more than Beantown Ace. Then you would be the 1 seed. But as far as everything is concerned, you are the 2 seed. All right. Let's get into the interesting stuff. First, Z-Man, you're absolutely right. Because if you win, you're in. It's actually true for all the 6-6 teams. This is because your dope and B-Man are going head-to-head. Again, assuming no one's going to tie. Because they're going head-to-head, which means we're going to have at least one 6-7 team. That means if you win as a 6-6 team, you are in the playoffs. The question is, what happens if you lose? So that's what we're going to talk about today. First of all, for all 6-6 teams, if you are the only loser of the 5, you are out. That can only be Tegrity, B-Man, Your Dope, or Z-Man. That cannot be me. I'll explain why in a minute. If there are more than 1 6-7 teams, it's going to come down to points, obviously. Also, all of the 6-6 teams need to be rooting for me to beat Voodoo Curse. Because if I don't, there will be at least 3 6-7 teams, and he will almost certainly be at the top. He's got almost 100 points more than the next 6-6 team. So if you lose 6-6 teams, my game is going to be a big factor on whether you get in or not. Okay? Because if I lose, it automatically creates 2 6-7 teams because we'll both be 6-7. We know there's a third 6 and 7 team coming out of the You're Dope B-Man game. It's going to create a lot of problems for the fourth 6 and 7 team if y'all lose. Okay. In the end, all 6 and 6 teams plus Voodoo at 5 and 7 actually advance if they win. So all the teams will advance with a win, assuming no one catches Voodoo in points, since he is actually 96.7 points ahead of B-Man, who is the closest. So 2 assumptions here. 1, no one's going to tie. And 2, no one's going to catch Voodoo in points. So, B-Man, the crappy thing is, even though you're the 3rd seed now, if you lose, and I lose to Voodoo, and I still outscore you by 36.1 points or more, and Integrity and Z-Man win, you were the 8th seed. And it's the same scenario for You Are Dope, since they're like 2 points apart. So You Are Dope and B-Man, same scenario. Y'all can easily go from 3 to 8 or 4 to 8. Very crucial for one of y'all to win that game. The winner is going to be in. The loser could have a hard time, especially if I lose to Voodoo. If I lose, for me to get in, I need to either have scored more points than the loser of the B-Man You're Dope game and have Integrity or Z-Man lose and have more points than that losing team as well. Or if I don't outscore the loser of B-Man versus You're Dope, then I need Integrity and Z-Man to lose, and I need to win the tiebreaker, a la keep my point lead on both of them. Big point here is if I lose to Voodoo, one of the 4 spots we are fighting for is gone. It's easy to get it. Z-Man. You're right. If you win, you're in. If you lose, you either need me to win and you outscore the loser of the B-Man You're Dope game, or Integrity to lose and you outscore him. Or if I lose and Integrity wins, you need to outscore me and the loser of the B-Man You're Dope game. Or if I lose and Integrity loses, you need to outscore 2 of me, Integrity, and the loser of the B-Man You're Dope game. Got it? Yeah, I don't think so. Hit rewind. Rewind again and listen to it. Okay. Integrity. You're in the same scenario as Z-Man, except you will have a much harder uphill battle because of your point situation. Basically, if you lose, assuming the B-Man and You're Dope loser will be out of reach for you point-wise, you need me to win, and all you need to do is score more points, more than 34.25 points for Z-Man. So that's your big thing. If you don't win, you need me to win. You got to outscore Z-Man by basically 35 points. If you lose and I lose, you not only need to outscore Z-Man by that much, but you also need to outscore me by 63.65 points. It's gross, man. But sometimes rivals need to root for each other when it comes to playoff scenarios. You got to be rooting for me, man. So Integrity, you will be rooting for Dak Knight Rises on Sunday. Voodoo, real simple, bro. You win, you're in. You lose, you're out. Easiest one in the book to understand. You can rewind it if you want, but that's really it. Big Fresh. If you win, you avoid the last place seed. If you lose, you will need Jeever to also lose, and your points are going to take care of you. Only way you get the 10 seed is if you lose and Jeever wins. Jeever, only way you are not the 10 seed is if you win and Big Fresh loses. If y'all both win or lose, you can't touch them in points. Clear as mud? That went a lot faster than I thought, actually. It took me about 15 times that time to figure all that shit out. So that's it, fellas. Now let's look at the actual games. All right, I'm going to start with Dak Knight Rises versus Voodoo Curse. Not because it's my game and it means the most to me, but it really means the most to everybody because of what I said in the last 10 minutes. Okay? First of all, if Kamara plays, it's kind of a coin flip. It will probably be determined by how many goal line touchdowns Taysom Hill steals from him. If he doesn't play, there's really no one on his bench to replace him. It could be his Melvin Gordon and David Johnson against my Alexander Madison and David Montgomery. Best case scenario for me and de facto the other 6-6 teams is if Kamara plays, but is used as a decoy. Hate to say it, but it's happened before, and it's something you kind of got to think about. This lingering injury of his, they're really worried about. He's been practicing, but they're saying there could be a lot of different scenarios going on. Tough situation there, Voodoo. Just for fun, since this is by far the most important match of the weekend, as far as it impacts the most amount of games, I took a look at our history. Y'all, if we were to play each other every week for the past 12 weeks, we'd be 6-6. We did play each other back in week 4, where I whooped his happy ass by over 40 points. But still, he's got a ton more points than I do. He's got a ton more points than most people because he has a couple outlier games. He scored 281 in one game, like 190 in another. So that has happened. But when it comes just to week-to-week productivity and the breakdown, we're 6-6. This is the ultimate tiebreaker. You talk about a coin flip. This is as close as it gets. Maybe not closer than the B-Man Your Dope game because they're literally only 2 points apart. But still, as far as the weekly breakdown, it doesn't get much closer. It's going to be fun to watch. A lot of things are going to happen on Thursday night in 2 nights, so pay attention. Integrity versus Big Freshness. Big Fresh, the heavy favorite, which hasn't meant much for him all season, as we know. However, with him having to start Danny Dimes and Miles Sanders most likely being out due to injury, I don't think big man on campus Jonathan Taylor will be enough to go toe-to-toe with Dak Prescott, Joe Mixon, and company. I don't think Integrity is going to have enough firepower to keep up with Big Fresh. I couldn't last week. I couldn't the first time I played him. This is good news for all the other 6-6 teams here. But he's also playing the most unlucky player and team in the league. So you never know what's going to happen. B-Man versus Your Dope. Another big game with huge implications for the loser. We talked about that earlier. The 3 and 4 seed currently separated by 1.4 points. Awesome. Perfect matchup for week 13. As it currently stands, Your Dope has about a 2/3 chance to win this match. He has 2 big hitters who are injured but could still play. Lamb should play, but I can't say the same for Antonio Brown. But Your Dope has some good replacements on his bench in Claypool and Van Jefferson. So, not too worried about him, actually. Even if one or both of them play, he's got some decent talent on his bench, which props to him for building his depth. B-Man's pretty strapped, on the other hand. We know about his injury issues, and he doesn't players on bye. But other than his quarterback decision, he's going to be rolling out guys like Khalif Raymond and Russell Gage and just kind of hoping that they hit. He's got 3 solid quarterbacks. And I think, let me see who he actually has in the starting lineup right now. Yeah. So he's got Russell Wilson and Tua Tagovailoa in there right now, and he's starting them over Taylor Heineke, which you got from me. I mean, all solid starters, but all 3 could bust. I think Tua is probably the best one of the bunch, and it's hard to sit Russell Wilson, but Heineke's been playing well too. I don't know. They'll probably score around the same. So he's pretty strapped. It doesn't really matter. Let's see here. Z-Man and Beantown Ace. Beantown being the heavy favorite, we know why. He has scored 150 or more points in each of the last 3 weeks. Not quite what I did in the middle of the season when I had my 3-week stretch, but pretty damn good. In that same period, Z-Man has not touched 150 points. He's been in the 120 to 140 range, which is not bad, but not close to where Beantown Ace has been. Z-Man has a few things going for him, though. First, on his team, J.D. McKissick is out, which should open things up for Antonio Gibson. He also has big man Kittle with a great matchup against Seattle. Beantown may not have the services of Henderson, but that smart son of a bitch handcuffed him with Sony Michel, which would be an awesome play if Henderson does not suit up. His whole team's on fire. I'm talking about Beantown. And to add insult to injury, he just acquired James Conner from Big Freshness. Z-Man, you're going to need some luck. Also, good news for the 6-6 teams. So, if Tegrity and Z-Man lose, just to reiterate, they are also the lowest in points. As long as the other teams keep their points buffer, Voodoo, Beanman, Your Dope, and Dak Knight Rises will all be in the playoffs. It's looking like Z-Man and Tegrity have an uphill battle. So the other 4 teams have a slight edge going into this weekend to make the top 6 teams. PGB Could versus Beef Shower. The most lopsided of the matches going into this week. Big shout out, props to Beef Shower for sticking with us, man. It's the hardest thing to do in fantasy is when your team is just tanked and to not give up. I know I respect the hell out of that. I know Gerald really appreciates that. You're making trades, you're active. Haven't heard from you much on chat, but that's okay. Appreciate you continue to set your lineup and just kind of giving it, at least paying attention. That's about all we can ask. Pay attention, play the game. So props to you, bud. Okay, my prediction. Dun dun dun. Here we go. The 1 seed will be Beantown Ace. The 2 seed will be PGB Could. What? I'll pick those chairs. Okay. Here we go. The 3 seed. You Are Dope. That's right. Pretty easy to predict that one. Here's where it gets interesting. The 4 seed will be Voodoo Curse. The 5 seed will be B-Man. The 6 seed will be Dak Knight Rises. That's right. I'm predicting my team to lose to Voodoo Curse. But Z-Man Integrity will be knocked out, leaving me in the 6 seed. Just like I predicted so many months ago. My prediction was exactly that I'm going to get the 6 seed and win the championship. And I'm sticking with the 6 seed portion of that for right now. I'll post my prediction in the chat so it's in writing. So when it comes to fruition, I can do my whole, I don't know, maybe I'll do my whole Jesus bit again or something. That would be scary if that happens. So, okay, that didn't go that long actually. I didn't even get through 1 beer. That's all for tonight. This is probably going to be a heavy file, so I'm not going to let it go too much farther. But good luck to all the teams that are fighting for their playoff lives. This is what fantasy is all about, baby. So, whether we win or lose, it's been a very fun league. The losers will move on to the toilet bowl. The winners will go on to fight for glory. Let's still get another chat going. Guys, this has been Shane Littleton, a.k.a. Lil'Shane, a.k.a. Dak Knight Rises. Good night.